Now who wanna move crossing on? Now who wanna move out on? If you got stripes, then you let the city know you rock them. Yeah, we got them.
Welcome to Bengals and Brews. I am Dale Altman, joined by Pork Chop, joined by BSG, and joined by Matt from Cincy Hat. What's up, guys?
What up?
It's like 74 degrees here in Indianapolis, so I'm wearing shorts. It's a good day. It's a good day here.
Me too.
Dude,
the garage is
here
usually
too.
cold. Yeah, the garage is usually cold for like multiple days still, but it feels nice in here. So,
is that a garage? I don't know if I knew that. That's great.
Yeah, it's my own separate place away from the house. So
love that. I need one of those. I need
not,
one of those
not
for
me,
sure.
Matt. This is my bedroom.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
sometimes he takes a nap during the shows.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
That's my bed back there. Sometimes I go take a nap every once in a while.
I love the tiger ahead of the bed. That's great.
Yeah.
But let's get right into it. So tickets are on sale. There's probably no tickets left, honestly. So St. Taddy's Day coming up, March 17th. Make sure you go. I'll let Matt talk more about it, where it's at, the details. I'm sure most of you already have your tickets by now. So
yeah, it's all Ted's fault. Ted has ruined my life the last month. So,
right?
the whole origin story was during the Nationwide Charity Challenge. Some jokesters on Twitter started saying if Ted won the Nationwide Charity Challenge, they would get the Cincy logo tattooed. I remember Ted called me one day. He was like, "Did you see this tattoo thing? This is hilarious." And then I checked my phone the next day, and I had a notification from Teddy K, and he said, "If we win this thing, I'll pay for everybody's Cincy Hat tattoos." And I was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
I think you just signed us up for the most ridiculous fundraiser in the history of the world. So we have frantically been planning this for the last month and a half. We are taking over the Foaling Warehouse in Oakley. It's like on the border of Oakley and Norwood in Cincinnati. Right. Same place Hubbard has his big charity event, but there actually won't really be foaling there. We got a lot of other games and contests too, but we're kind of just using it as like a 40,000 square foot warehouse.
Tons of space.
This place is massive. We've got, I think, 43 tattoo artists signed up so far. And we've got 300 people that are slotted to get a free Cincy Hat logo tattoo. I think we're going to drop more slots either tomorrow night or Wednesday night, probably about another 100 tattoo slots. So look out for that. We're going to announce it. I feel bad because when we first announced the slots, it was kind of like a surprise. And I know some people were like at work and missed it. So we're going to give a little more of a fair warning this time. But yeah, it should be a fun event. We got Skyline coming. We got Donato's. We're working on a couple food trucks. It should just be a big, fun family party.
I love it. And shout out to Drew Garrison and Bengalorian for being those jokesters who being a couple smart asses about the Cincy Hat tattoos.
I think
here we are now.
Cap jumped in. I think Wedge Gordon jumped in. It was like, oh man, there's 10 people now. And Ted was like, this is right. And it's funny because neither Ted or I have a single tattoo. So two guys that don't have a single tattoo combined are planning a 500-person tattoo convention. So Here we go.
So this is going to be your first tattoo, Matt?
My mother-in-law said she would disown me if I got one. Now we'll see. The spirit of the event might take over, and maybe we'll have to accept the consequences.
Or you get too many spirits in you at the event.
Exactly. So I would not call it a 0% chance. I give it about a 5% chance.
Tell me there's a chance.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So
if you did get it, where would you get it at?
Probably, I feel like probably shoulder. I feel like shoulder. I'm a pasty white guy. I usually don't have my shirt off anyway. So probably, So there are going to be some stipulations. So we're going to do all black ink for the tats. All this detail will be coming just to keep it easy because we're going to need to be like a tattoo factory. So I think we're going to do arms and legs. And then black ink, and it'll be a standard size with the logo. So
we got to make one exception, right?
We got to make one exception.
We got.
I've heard there's a tramp stamp. Is there a tramp stamp on the table?
Man. And it's a Steelers fan. It's a Steelers fan. Made a bet with me that Cam Hayward would get more fan votes than Ted cares.
The funniest part is Cam won the whole event, but he didn't bet that.
Nope.
We were already way up when we got him to take this bet. So
that's right.
All right. Remind me that we can probably make an exception. We can probably we want to make sure that's an exception, not the rule. But yeah,
exactly.
let's stay close on that.
I can't imagine there's a ton of people wanting that or would be getting it. He was like, I'll get that if he wins. And I'm like, all right, well, you're getting it because he's going to win.
Are you tatted up, Chop? Do you have a lot of tattoos?
No, I only have 3 tattoos because I got 5 kids.
There you go.
If I didn't have 5 kids, man, I would look like a chameleon right now. I'd be covered.
That's right. That's like, it's kind of like hats too. You know, it's like one of those things where once you have like one and you're a tattoo person, you just kind of get more and more and more. Yeah.
So I never got one. I got enough.
I never got one either.
I'm not a needle guy. You know, that's, I'm kind of aware. I think now that I've seen some tattoos happen and know a little bit more about the process, I'm like a little less afraid of it. But
don't worry. It hurts like a bitch.
Does it really?
Hey, well, Matt, if you're still wanting one, Matt Walker, there's going to be spots coming out.
Keep your eyes open. Make sure you're following our Twitter. I need to call Ted today and kind of figure out when exactly we're going to release those. But yep. And then don't publicize this, but I'll tell it to the Bengals and Brews community. If people are out there who really want to come to the event and did not get signed up, DM us on Twitter and we can manually add some people. We released 1,000 slots on Friday and they all got snatched up in about 3 hours. But it's not going to be like, oh my God, we're turning everyone away at the door. But if like 3,000 people show up, we're going to hit some capacity constraints. Yeah.
So we got to do what you can do.
Exactly. We got some limited edition hats coming. So we got
one right there.
St. Taddy's Day logo.
There it is.
Yeah.
Get there early. If you want one of these, get there early. I probably underordered. Nice. We got like 600 or 700 of these total. We got some Shamrock hats.
Nice.
And then we got a white and green St. Taddy's Day.
Awesome.
Yeah. So get some good stuff. Ted and I, we probably did not order enough. That's like the story of the whole project, but you'd rather run out than like be sitting on 300 extra hats that don't mean anything anymore. So.
Well, if you go to Boston, Matt, you'll sell that to a bunch of Celtics fans.
The funny thing, just the color scheme. I love
that is sweet.
I think Dayton High School up there in Hamilton did these colors. I'm like, gosh, who else is like green and white? Yeah.
Well, I got to get one of those hats as soon as I get up there so I don't get pinched.
I would probably recommend that people get the hat before their tattoo. If I had to give a tip, I would say probably get the hat first.
Oh, that green one with the white, man. One of those.
I wasn't sure about it, and then when they came in, I was like,
"Oh, come on!"
Talking to Ted on the phone, I was like, "Dude, these are cool. We're gonna." I think we're gonna release these bad boys there too. These are some of these are. This is Ted's favorite hat. This is what he wore on the Walter Payton at NFL honors, and so this is a really comfortable, probably our most comfortable hat so far. Nice little mid-crown fit. So we got a couple new styles. We got an orange mesh back coming as well, kind of St. Patty's orange theme coming too.
All right.
Yeah. So we don't have that one. Doesn't have the St. Patty's logo, but kind of a nice little Bengals Irish orange. Yeah.
Man, my wife is gonna hate you, Matt.
And we got this. Nobody knows this yet. We have some hoodies. Now we only have like 30 of them. We have some lightweight hoodies that are pretty nice. It's kind of this is our experimental run. If people love them, then maybe we'll print more. So those will be there too. Ordered some St. Taddy's Day stickers, so be sure to snag a sticker. And there's going to be a lot of games that you can win at this. It's a lot of contests. So think of this almost as like a carnival. So we have Golf Exchange coming, and they're setting up a 60-foot putt, and so we're gonna have a putting competition. Ted's gonna build a PVC pipe goalpost, and we're gonna have a field goal contest.
Wow.
We're getting a basketball goal. We're gonna have half-court shot competition. So there's gonna be a lot of ways to win some pretty sick prizes. We got a couple $500 Jeff Ruby's gift cards on the docket. We got some custom.
You can finally get a steak from there, Chop.
There you go.
I know.
Exactly.
I've never had. My kid went to Jeff Ruby's. I didn't. She brought me back leftovers, and I said, the first time I taste Jeff Ruby's not going to be out of a microwave. No.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. I've still never been either. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Matt, and also the black hat with the red letters, because I'm not truly a big fan of the Red City Connect logo.
Yeah.
I tell you, but the jersey I like, but when I saw that hat, I'm like, dude, that hat looks sweet. And when I tried it on with the jersey, that is just money, man. I
feel like I forgot to release those on the website. I got to put those on. So the other thing we got coming, I think this week, Ted and I are finalizing the timing. I think after seeing Ellie hit that 470-yard, 470 bomb, we're going to release our new lineup of Reds colors. So we got a little red and white.
There you go.
Dude, I love that one.
That one's sweet, bro.
Nice. This is like our normal mid-crown, nice little red pop. And then I don't know if this is going to come out yet or not, but we got a little red bucket too. So
very nice.
Yeah, we got a lot
of all kinds of previews and teases. So even if these aren't at the event,
those will, we're going to drop those online because I feel like Reds fever is just hot right now. And it's like, let's not hold it back. And then if we got extras, though, they'll be at the event. And then we've probably ordered 30 or 40 different experimental SKUs that we're going to bring to the event too. Now we only got like 3 or 4 of each, but we'll kind of have this like hodgepodge experiment table. So that'll be fun. You'll be able to grab some hats that only like 2 or 3 of them exist out there. So
hey, approximately how many hats have you guys sold?
we got to be, I think we're hovering right around 30,000.
Wow. And
Right
you
around
know, they're
30,000.
popping up everywhere. What is the weirdest or strangest or furthest away place that you've seen a Cincy hat pop up?
Japan. I saw we got a Japan order. I feel like that might, I mean, definitely Australia. I feel like that's not that weird. I think we might have had a Korea order at one point.
Nice.
I feel bad for those folks because they pay a lot in shipping.
Do they
set
really?
it up through our thing.
You have
like
to. You have to.
$50 to ship. I'm like, you sure? But okay, you paid it. So it sounds
Right.
good.
Yeah. $50 to ship it.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, we've started to work with some country clubs. So one of the things we can do now is we can actually put custom logos on the side of our hats. So we're working with some country clubs to do some country club themed with their logos on the side of our hats and whatnot. So we got a couple breweries we're doing that with now. So yeah,
you got that new Bengals and Brews logo hat coming out too shortly, right?
There, I mean, we can make it happen.
Limited edition, 2 to 3 of those. We don't want to have too many of those out there because they'll just sit in the warehouse.
That's true. That might be. You might have a good point, Dale.
I love it. I love it.
Is there any other teases maybe for the next season for the Bengals? I know we saw a little bit of some stuff that might be in the works, but anything you just want to toss out there, maybe a collar scheme or something that's different this year?
I think we're going to see a lot more tiger stripes in the arsenal. Yeah, we got Ted and I went down to Orlando. Imperial makes all of our hats,
right?
And they are like a massive player in golf. So we went down to the PGA show because they're one of the biggest sponsors of the PGA show. So they brought us down there. We're kind of in a weird spot where we're actually like a huge customer of theirs because a lot of their customers are like country clubs. So, you know, compared to like Kenwood Country Club, we sell an enormous amount of hats. But, you know, compared to like Nike and Adidas, we don't sell that many, kind of a thing. But they mocked up some very custom only to us beanies that are like all tiger stripes and claw stripes and stuff like that. So we're gonna be rolling out some truly more custom hats that I didn't even know we could do until like a month ago. So we're pumped.
I freaking need to have 2 heads. I'm not kidding. Like this is no lie. Like I do. I got a hat thing. Like you said, Matt, you know, you get hats, you just start buying them. So I got a bunch of hats, but like when I look at my hats, I swear to God, this one I got on my head right now, it's my favorite hat. I love this hat.
I've seen you wearing that a lot. That's a comfy one too. Something about that black one. Like we have the gray in that color too. And I don't know why that black one's even more. That's the BSG, the custom high performance studio embroidery. I love that.
Shout out Bourbon.
I love that. That's great. And then we're going to be at the draft party for Project Game-Dey on, what is that, April 26th?
Yeah,
April 26th, the Friday, day 2 of the draft. So the event for Cincy Hat, 5 to 7.
Yep.
And I'll let you kind of tease maybe anything you want to with that.
Yeah, it's like a hard one to explain. We got a brand new hat style, brand new logo style that we're coming out with. Kind of almost like a dark mode. It'll be. It's like I almost need a picture to describe it, but we got the order, and I think on Thursday or Friday, so we should have plenty of time. I think they're going to be pretty sweet. And that's why I'm just kind of like dreaming. If anyone has ideas or any hats they've seen in the past, that one came about because Matt from Bengals and Bourbon just hit me up and he's like, hey, you know, the Bengals have a cool, you know, logo like this. Could we do something like that with the Cincy logo? Heck yeah.
He didn't give you any credit for that, pork chop.
Hey, I wonder where Matt got that idea. Yes. I text Matt because he sent me one of them that you had sent. We showed us, and I was like, well, what about this? And he said, well, I don't know. And all of a sudden he text me back. He was like, Matt likes that one. And I'm like, hell yes.
That's awesome. Well, I had seen like Dan Campbell was wearing something similar in those.
Now you give him credit.
Thanks, Matt.
Oh, there he is.
I love that kind of outline world. Like Dan Campbell was wearing this Lions one. It was like a white outline with a black lion, and I was like obsessed with it all playoffs.
Yes.
And I've been meaning to do it, and I'm glad we're making it happen for this one. So
yeah, I can't believe it wasn't done, man. It is. That hat's going to be really nice.
And here's Darth, who's just raising an insane amount of money. I want to shout him out again. So for Project Game-Dey, he's never sold the chains, just exchange for donation for anything with the chains, and he's not selling them. He is in exchange for a donation directly to Project Game-Day. He's not keeping a dime of it. He's already like worked on like 51 of those things. Just absolutely unreal. Tons of interest for it.
That's awesome.
But he wanted to let you know he'll probably be there before you. So if you need help setting up that day,
I love that. I love that. Darth, I don't know how fast those chains are made, but if you have the ability to make a St. Taddy's Day chain, that could be a fun little thing.
He literally said yesterday, he said, I got some other things I've been working on. We'll take a break from this, but now you might have
That's
to do
fair.
one.
Well, I get that too. You got to say no to something.
I know Darth. It's going to be on the printer tonight. He'll be designing it, I'll bet you.
I love that.
Those take a long time too to print up and everything. So tons of time that this guy's put in. We just can't appreciate it.
And
so,
I got this one. I got this one because as long as we got you on here at the Village of Marici.
Yeah.
My first connection with Darth was I knew he made these chains, and I reached out to him with a collaboration on Twitter, and we got this one for the autism.
That's awesome. Love that.
So,
that's killing.
He makes custom orders too. And then he charged me $0. He won't take a dime.
I've tried many a times.
That's terrible.
The only time he took money is when it's going to charity. And that's for the Project Game-Day.
That's awesome.
Speak about your charity though, Matt, the Cincy Hat and the Village of Marici. I know we talked about St. Taddy's Day. We touched on the draft.
Well, I want to say you're also going to have a nominee as well from the Village, I do believe. I don't think I'm breaking it.
I believe so. Yes, I need to nail that.
For Project Game Day, we're gonna have 100%. A nominee for Project Game Day to help get them to a game. Maybe somebody that hasn't been yet
very nice
in the Village,
awesome.
Or maybe somebody that has once already. But
we'll probably try to get somebody new. Yeah, we had a fun little crew come over for a game, that Vikings game. The Bengals brought over about 30 of us from the Village of Marici, and it was an awesome experience. But there were some folks that were bummed they couldn't go. So we'll have to get get somebody. Yeah. So a quick plug for the Village of Marici. So my brother is about 46 now, and he's developmentally disabled. So when my parents, as my mom worked in special education her whole career. And so as they got older, she realized when we die, what's going to happen to Jason? Our family set up, we probably could have taken care of him pretty well. But, they kind of made it their life's mission to figure out a way to help provide housing and services for folks in that position. So it supports adults with Down syndrome, autism, highly functioning, very low functioning, anywhere kind of in that realm of developmental disability. So all the money from the Cincy Hat goes directly to that. All the money from St. Taddy's Day, any donations, we're going to have a silent auction with some pretty sick prizes or some pretty sick items coming. So yeah, all that money goes right back to the Village of Marici. So.
Well, I just love what you guys are doing. It's a shame Ted didn't win the award, but I couldn't have any hatred for Cam Hayward. I'm a Buckeye fan, number one. I didn't care he's a Steeler. He's been doing his charity thing, too, for like 10 years. He's been a nominee several times. So, shout out to all those guys.
It was a sixth time being nominated. I was like, whoa. Once I found that out, I was like, give that man the award.
Oh, I thought I heard it was
stuff for so long. Yeah, exactly. I was
like, Ted, every year.
We got to fall in line, Ted. We probably were out of our minds thinking we had a chance. But, maybe next year, maybe the following, we'll see. Who knows?
Exactly. I think Ted will have a shot at it coming up again. And I love that, everybody on Twitter and everywhere was able to help go and vote, Facebook, wherever, who all helped. And it was just awesome that, to raise the extra money, I'm sure it was just amazing.
And I forget if the numbers got shared. So we won that. You guys, all of us, we all won that by 1 million votes. The next closest person, Ted had 2.4 million votes. The next closest, which I think was Lane Johnson, had 1.4.
So almost doubled the votes.
I was getting carpal tunnel syndrome, I swear.
I saw everybody too, because I had a burner Twitter going and I would go and retweet them all. And so I saw every single retweet, and I saw some people put in work. So
I think Cap had it set up.
Is great.
Cap had it set up if you even retweeted his or commented on it, it would automatically fire off another one.
Shh, keep that on the down low.
Maybe.
I love it.
Secret, Scott.
I love it.
Anything else with the Village? Because we're going to get into some combine talk here.
Yeah.
I told you I wouldn't keep you on too long, but man, I'm excited. I'm excited for the event, excited for the draft event, just excited. Obviously, everything you guys are doing, keep killing it.
The event is a thank you to everyone who's helped this project. So, it's just, we have to pinch ourselves still every day that this thing's still going, and it was the best accident that's ever happened. And we couldn't be more grateful. So this event is just a big thank you. And I hope everyone has a great time in it. And I can't wait to see so many of you guys there. So yeah, we got, so reminders, more tattoo slots are coming tomorrow or Wednesday. I will put that out on Twitter. We'll make sure that's known. Shout that from the mountaintops. And then I'm thinking we're going to release our spring training series, some of these new Reds hats coming out on Thursday. So
Nice.
be on the
Gotta have
lookout.
that.
And then we got a lot of custom hats, a lot of limited edition hats coming at St. Taddy's. So we'll see you guys there. Appreciate you having me on.
Man, if I had a day
Sounds
off,
good.
I'd drive my ass up there to Indy and get that hat.
I love it.
That one with that white mesh back, I love it.
You like it? There we go.
Yes.
There we go.
And it is still the cincyhat.com, right? Haven't
Heck
changed
yeah.
anything as
We're
far as
never
so go
giving up.
there.
Yeah, they're gonna have to
check
pry that domain out of my dead cold hand. So yeah,
I'm sure most of you now, you just start typing and the Cincy Hat comes straight into your browser. So
there you go.
It's a recurring place for most of us now.
I love
But
it.
Matt,
I love
appreciate your time, brother.
it. Thanks, boys. See you,
Thank you, man.
see you on the
Matt, I'll see you
17th.
on the 17th.
See you on the
Heck yeah.
17th, bro.
Who day?
Who day?
All right, Greg, tell us about the combine. I mean, pork chop sex.
Oh, yeah. See, so here's what happened, man, is some of the
That's
top
going to be
players.
interesting, Greg.
So some of the top players in the NFL draft were invited to what they call the combine, and it goes on in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Field. And so what they do is they go up there and they go through different drills and stuff. A lot of people like to call it the underwear Olympics, but they go out there and they run a 40-yard dash. They run some 3-cone drills. They catch some balls. They throw some balls, and they run around a lot. Then they do some bench pressing and some exercises, and people watch them exercise, and then they time them on it and stuff like that. And then they come out and they say, hey, then there's like this guy that does math, and he goes up there and he plugs in all these calculations into
Can't leave
his
Platt,
algorithm.
Math Bomb. Shout out Math Bomb.
Right.
Math bomb.
Raz,
Math
relative
bomb.
athletic score.
Guy loves math. He puts in all their stuff as a math equation, and it pumps out a RAS score, which is the relative athletic score, and that comes up. And I like that a lot better than the PFF score. You know what I mean? Even though sometimes like T might get 4 and he's actually a 10. It happens at the combine. That's why you have to watch it and watch these guys exercise. And then that way you can make a better opinion. Maybe you get someone that you thought wasn't exercising real good, like you didn't see it, like Byron Murphy. All right. Now, Byron Murphy looks pretty good. But when he went up there, he got invited to the NFL scouting combine, right? So he went to Lucas Oil Field, and this dude was freaking amazing. So he really took his stock up, and he did that at the combine. And that's a chance for those guys to do it. Now, if you're getting in the draft this year, if one of you guys are playing in a college team last year and you're in the draft and you're like, how can I improve my stock? Combine's over. You missed it.
Sorry.
But it's a little something you can
Pro
tell
days.
other people.
Pro days
like,
are still coming up.
There you go.
Similar
You can
deal.
still do your
Colleges,
pro day.
local pro days.
Some people
Yeah.
don't run. Also, people do a lot of speculation in the combine, like, oh, they didn't run. Brock Bowers. There you go. There's a good speculation. This guy comes in, weighs 30 pounds more than what anybody ever thought he weighed.
No, he didn't.
because-
It's not 30. It was like,
I'm exaggerating a little bit, Dale.
like 5 to 10, maybe.
Okay, 5 or 10.
He was
And then- but he
243,
was
and
like,
we
you
thought
know
he
what?
could be anywhere between 230 and 240.
But he was like, I'm not running. I'm not doing the drill. And so people speculate. They're like, whoo, man, I don't know. He probably put on that weight and he doesn't feel good because he's fucking eating ring dings all day, trying to put on 5 or 10 pounds. So he's not feeling his greatest. So he doesn't want to run. People speculate, and that could drop your draft stock a little bit. And so that's the combine.
Yeah, and John Ross was really good at exercise.
John Ross. I bet his RAS score would have been pretty good because he was fast. Still, John Ross, still the fast guy at the NFL combine.
No, he's not.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, man, you were doing so good.
I know.
Xavier Worthy from Texas ran a 4.21 wide receiver, which he came in at 5'11", 165. So it's like, holy shit, this guy's light. And it's like, man, his stock's going to go bad unless he runs like a 4.2 something. He broke the combine record, so his stock is just fine. I've had him as a second-round pick. I'm not moving up in the first round, but there's a lot of talk of that. Very good player, though. I mean, his tape is really good. But, I mean, he did – and he played through a hand injury. We talked about him last week a little bit before the combine even happened. So, I mean, good for him, man. You broke a record. And then he was like, I'm not doing on-field drills. I'm good. I showed what I needed to show.
Right.
I'm fast, very fast.
Right. And you know what? That's going to work for him. Shit, it worked for John Ross. And then he come in here, and we learned he didn't have fingers, so he can't catch a ball. Like he's really fast, but he doesn't.
We should have saw
fingers.
that. We should have saw that.
Right, should have been like,
didn't have fingers.
That
like,
should
hey,
like
don't have
also.
fingers.
Yeah, NFL Combine is also a place. It's real good for all the athletes to get there, and all the different teams can do all these interviews.
10 fingers.
At one point, they should be like hand check, and then,
they do measure their hands, but maybe
or a simple give me 5, and then they're like the other side, and then that way you can check it out and make sure they got fingers.
Yeah,
John Ross
make sure that make sure they've got the. Because if they miss, then it's like, oh no, man, that's got to mark that down as bad. You can't.
That's
even get
true. That's right.
5, very good.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll talk. That was a great breakdown, Chop. Thank you for that. It's fantastic. You just kind of recapped what the combine is.
Yeah,
it's man exercising and other typically man watching other man exercise.
Right, and also it's televised so that everybody can watch them exercise.
And you can go back and watch it multiple times.
And people comment on it. There's commentators.
Yeah. Look at this.
Daniel Jeremiah was commentating the whole thing. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that.
That was very impressive. So let's go through some positions. And quarterback, okay. I'm skipping it. A lot of them didn't work out.
You never know. We might get a quarterback now because that report came out by that fucking doctor, man.
But yeah, this one for Hunter, and this one that's probably we'll get to O tackles and talk about that more. But he says he's 5'10", 8-inch hands. How the hell does Fashanu at 6'6" have 8.5? It said 8.5-inch hands. I thought it was a typo. So, but it was apparently the man has 8.5-inch hands. I don't know. Like and then I think he tweaked something. So then he didn't work out at all. Mims looked like a freak. He tweaked the hamstring right in the 40-yard dash. It's like, man, maybe these. And then another guy goes down right after Mims with an injury. It's like. Maybe they shouldn't be running 40 yards.
Hey, what happened to Nate Wiggins? Because I heard that he had heard something pop, and then I have not heard anything else.
I didn't either. Maybe they don't have the full report yet. But I mean, he ran like a freak. But another guy that's thin. Those size concerns are there. He weighed in the 170s. I don't have it off the top of my.
That was never a concern for me.
Yeah, I mean, I know you liked the guy last year.
No, I'm saying nobody ever thought, hey. Pork chop's too thin.
Yeah, they say that all the time about us, Chop.
Except for my penis.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But let's start at running back. So guy I've had running back 1, and it's not going to change. I mean, I do like Jonathan Brooks. He's been running back 2, and they're not too far off. But Brooks coming off the ACL injury, so obviously he's not working out. It did help that we saw last week that he's supposed to be ready by training camp. Who knows? Teams will be, I'm sure, doing their work into that. But Trey Benson from Florida State. So I really liked him. And I'll be honest, he ran a 4.39, and I didn't see that on tape necessarily. Like, I didn't think he was slow. Like, one of the cons I had was, long speed is good, not great. But to run the 40 and 4.39, well, it's still pretty damn good. So that's just a running back right off the top of the list. So, Greg, I'll ask you who's maybe a couple other running backs, and then we'll give a couple others. Chop, do you have any as well?
Man, I like that.
That kid out of Louisville.
We'll do Greg first, and then I'll get.
Go ahead.
That kid out of Louisville.
Isaac Garendo.
Yeah, he did a good job. Trying to think of other the running backs. I know I did watch running backs. Trey Benson, just outstanding. I think we're all not too shocked by him. But, yeah, a lot of good running backs that ran, though. But, yeah, the kid out of Louisville, boy, he wowed me completely. But then I know you kind of came out with saying he's got injury issues and he's like 26 years old.
No. He's not that old. I don't know exactly what his age is, but he has been in college for 5 or 6 years.
5 okay. So he
was a Wisconsin guy, and he was the backup. They've had some studs there at Wisconsin. So he never played a lot. Then he transferred to Louis and had dealt with injuries. I mean, he has had 2, 3, 4, quite a few injuries, which all this will be in the draft guide, more details on this specific stuff. But he won't because he actually wasn't in it. But so I can just bring up what I have on him real quick.
Okay.
To talk about him, but continue. Give me somebody else, and I'll go back to Garendo here. So,
I'm trying to remember. There were so many running backs. I know.
Well, who I like, Dale, you turned me on to him is in a later round is Ray Davis.
Yeah, Ray Davis is another one
from Kentucky, and I know he's a little older, but that's okay because all we need a running back for is a rookie contract.
Exactly,
and then we get another one. That's just the way the NFL works now.
Yeah, and I'll just so Garendo's RAS score ended up being a 9.98. I mean, it's top of the top. He's 6 foot 221, so size is no concern. The speed, no concern. Ran really well. He looks athletic. That speed translates on tape. Good vision, quick feet, big playability, and reliable hands. I didn't see him always breaking a ton of tackles. He doesn't have the best power. Needs to expand his route tree. Hasn't shown much as a blocker. The age, he's turning 24 in June. So not 26, but also not young. So he'll be 24 to start his rookie season. So that's a little bit older when you're talking in comparison to a guy like Jonathan Brooks, who's 20 right now, you know? So, I mean, that does matter. But I wanted to at least read this because I want to get the injury. So he had recurring hamstring issues that kept him out like multiple seasons. He kept not playing because of hamstrings. And then Lisfranc injury also. And those occurred through 4 different seasons at Wisconsin. So he never hardly played in 4 seasons because of being injured all the time.
Yeah.
And then he's mostly played the 1 year at Louisville, but he was the backup to Jawar Jordan, who is another prospect coming into this draft. So, I mean, he's got talent, but he's still like, if you're like, oh my gosh, 9.98 RAS and with his size and speed, yeah, those are all, that'll get him drafted probably, but it's probably still going to be on day 3, you know, when you put the total package together. And it was 6 years in college is what I had. So. But great. Continue. Any other?
You know, like I said, that's about it. I mean, I can go on to the offensive lineman to talk. You know, I mean, are we still talking about running backs or?
Well, we can move off running backs. I will give a disappointment one a little bit because I had rewatched him again. I never really was that high on him, and then I was starting to be like, okay, I can see it because so many people like him, and I just tried to find more games and watch more games in Notre Dame, and that's Estime because he's such a big dude with the tree trunk, freaking legs. And then he goes out and runs, I think it was a 4.71.
Eek.
I mean, his RAS score overall at his size and stuff and everything else he didn't test out awful. Like, he still had a decent RAS score overall, so he's still a decent athlete. But, man, it's like you almost shouldn't even ran if you would have thought you were going to run a 4.71. Like, I would have thought 4.5s, mid 4.5s. You would have taken that, but 4.71, I mean, that's tough. And I mean, that was the knock was breakaway speed for me, but you've seen it a little bit at times in the tape, so I just wondered what he would run and test him. So for me, I got to at least knock him down. I mean, there's some other guys, Dylan Johnson, but he was never really much of an athlete from Washington. And then Amani Bailey, who I like his tape, but he's 5'7". He tested really poorly. I mean, sometimes the RAS scores too, if these guys are small, automatically that is a component to the RAS score. So you got to really look at the numbers. But I mean, that's just a few that disappointed. But there's a lot of winners. I mean, Ray Davis, like we said. Bucky Irving was a bad one. His RAS score was
that Bucky guy.
Was a 3 or something. But he didn't run awful.
No, it was 2.88, I think.
Yeah, it was bad for a RAS score. But Jalen Wright from Tennessee, who I'm high on, that's another one that was a positive. So we'll move on from them. We already mentioned Xavier Worthy broke the combine record for wide receivers. Brian Thomas Jr., Chop, right up your alley yet again to talk about. It's an absolute freak show. His was like a 9.9 something as well for his RAS score. Ran a 4.3 something. The guy's, 6'3", 209. So he's got the size speed combo. Lot to like with him. Anything new on him? I mean, I think we've covered him quite a bit, and I'm sure.
No, I just saw his RAS score came out, and it's 9.91 or something like that.
Yeah, I know it's in the 9.9, and
crazy.
And he tweaks them as different stuff come in, but it's always pretty close to what you see. So
I think he probably bumped himself up just a little bit at the combine, and I'm telling you, the only reason that people don't know as much about Brian Thomas Jr. is because the way that Malik Neighbors balled out this last season, but Brian Thomas Jr. he's him. I think he would be. I'm not looking to get a wide receiver in the first round, to be honest, unless for some reason it was some kind of a tag and trade thing with T and we got an extra first round pick. But I would not be mad at that pick. If you put Brian Thomas Jr. and Jamar Chase for the next 5 years on the Bengals with Joe Burrow throwing to him, that is a threat, man, every time that you play Cincinnati. Big time.
Yeah. I don't want to use pick 18 on Thomas if T's
No.
here this year because I think we have other needs. I mean, we'll see what happens in free agency. I'm not like taking Thomas off the list, and maybe it goes higher now because I think there's a good chance the top 3 guys, and he's been at 4 for me this whole process. But the top 3 guys, I think there's a chance they go top 10. So does he last from 10 to 18? Anyways, who knows?
Right.
But I don't think we're zeroed in on that now. Now, if there's a T trade, I think everything changes in that whole conversation. Then it'd be like, hell, give me that guy for sure.
Right. Well, somebody put like something on Twitter or something about a trade with T and our pick and going up and grabbing like Malik Neighbors. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. First of all, you get rid of T and then you add Malik Neighbors. And
your
me,
first round pick,
I just don't see how much better the team got if you take out T and you put in Malik Neighbors. And that's not a knock on Malik Neighbors. I'm just saying, like, T is an elite wide receiver. So how much better did the team get on your first round? It just doesn't make sense to me. I want to say personally, like, I just started watching college football, right? And so to tell you the truth, this is the first year that I've fallen in love with college players, and it's a whole different thought process. I know you try not to be a Ohio State homer, but, man, that shit's hard because I'm thinking about Jalen Daniels and where he's going to get drafted and Malik Neighbors, and I'm like, God damn. Please don't let them go to a team in the AFC North that is not the Bengals. Please.
Well, I'm such not a homer. Marv is player number 1, but I just think he's that good. It had nothing to do with being a homer on my overall board.
So I couldn't argue that point.
Marv is no longer my player 1 that when the draft guide comes out Wednesday. I'm just going to say that.
Is it? Let me ask you this.
It's tease. That's it. That's all I can do.
Do you think that Marvin Harrison hurt his draft stock by when he did that no-show to the media?
I don't think it hurt because, I mean, which I seen that Chris Carter reported he was getting like medical checks at that point.
Oh.
So maybe just somebody asked for medical check. I don't know.
So it's not like he stood him up. He was just busy doing other things.
And I mean, Chris Carter, who knows? Like, he's a former Buckeye too. He might have just been saying that to take some. I don't know. I wasn't at the combine, but I mean, Neighbors didn't test. Jalen Daniels didn't test. Those guys didn't even weigh in and get measurements or anything. Harrison did it, so they didn't even get their measurements, and Harrison did. So I mean, they did even less than him. But is it a knock? No. These are top 10 to 15 prospects in this draft. It's not gonna kill their stock. Now, would you like to see a guy go out and compete even though he is that highly ranked? Yeah, and I think Rome Odunze, he went and did that.
Yeah, he did.
He's right there in that top 10 mix, and he went out there and competed and kept competing. The whole thing was over, and he's out there trying to hit a certain time on the 3-cone drill. So that's just competitive nature of that kid that it's like, okay. You know, if you're wondering, I got these two pretty with this kid because he's out there doing a little extra, and I mean, teams are still going to bring them in for visits in-house and things like that. So, but I want to mention A.D. Mitchell, teammate of Worley. I actually think, you know, because his size, he ran a 4.3 something. Worley breaking the record's great and all, but Adonai Mitchell, he ran a 4.35, and he's like 6'2", 205. Big difference from being 165. So, I mean, I thought he looked great.
You think this was his response when they said something to him? I mean, to tell you the truth,
that's all you have to do. And he said what he said was, I'm concentrating on football. I've got to train a certain way to go out here and test and then start training again to go be a football player again. Yeah. I'm not doing that. I'm just continuing to train to dominate this year when I get on the field. I respect it. Okay. I don't have a problem with it. But it's just someone else went and impressed me even more. So, Tez Walker.
I can't wait till that thing comes out. I know. Don't tell me. I like surprises. Don't fucking tell me.
I'm not.
Don't put it in our chat.
I teased you.
Don't tell Greg because he will call me and say, "Hey, Dale didn't want me to tell you this," like he usually does.
But so Tez Walker, shout out to that kid from North Carolina. He had a horrible Senior Bowl week, was dropping all kinds of stuff, and that was a concern coming in. But he went out there and he tested well. He did all the drills. He did everything he should have. So I think, I mean, if He's still not in the first, second round conversation to me, but I think he's squarely in that third round mix, and I think he got his stock back on track a little bit. And there's still a lot of potential to work with there because he's 6'1". He's not a small guy. He's got good speed, good deep ball skills. You see that on tape at North Carolina this past season. Kent State prior. Ricky Pearsall from Florida. He's another guy who tested really well. There's a bunch of guys that test well, honestly, at wide receiver. There's not too many I'm going to sit here and knock on. Troy Franklin didn't look natural in the drills from Oregon. I guess that's one I'd have to at least mention as maybe not looking so good. And he came in at 176. He was listed at closer to 185 out of Oregon. And I like his tape. I like his speed, which he still ran a 4.4, but just the overall, he didn't look natural in pass catching during the drill part of it. And it's unfortunate. I do think, if he was there, bottom of the first, maybe talk. I don't think he's there now. I think he's probably dropped his stock to more. He's probably definitely a second rounder. I mean, he was fringe anyways, but I think he dropped his stock. Now let's get to a position that always gets Greg excited because he's on the drugs from his dentist event. Visit today, so we got to get him back in.
He's still on the gas.
We already talked about Bowers, didn't test, right? So not much to talk about. We talked about the height weight thing. He came in 6'3", 240. That's better than expected. Honestly, I thought he'd be 6'2", maybe 235, because he doesn't look real big on tape, but he's explosive. He's a great athlete. I wanted to see that. We'll probably see it at Georgia's Pro Day, but I'm just wondering if he weighed in. I'm guessing I think he might be 6'3", but I bet he plays at closer to 230 than he does 240 that he weighed in at. But a bunch of other guys tested and tested pretty well. So who stood out to you guys of the tight ends? Whether you watched it or you've seen their RAS scores or anything else, we'll start with you, Greg.
You said
start with either one.
I'm just saying, for some reason, I'm just not feeling Brock. I'm sorry that seeing Greg's throwing me off a little bit. I love it. The Yoshi.
Yeah, you're the one that needs to change it back.
No. Anyway, for some reason, I'm just not feeling Brock Bowers, man. I'm feeling Sanders more. I just think he'd be a better pick in the second round than taking Brock Bowers in the first round. I don't know what I would do if Brock Bowers is there at 18.
Franklin did. He looked more like a track guy than a wide receiver. And I mean, we already got that at home. His name's Andre Isvash, and he's, I think, going to be pretty good for us again.
Yeah. So
I was Eric All as the kid from Iowa. If you're thinking of a later.
Oh yeah, I like this guy.
I like. Yeah, I think his RAS is 9.75 or something crazy. And I like this tape. He was already tight end 3, but there was a tier. There was a Bowers tier, a Jatavion Sanders tier, and then it was Sanat, Stover, Theo Johnson, those few guys. Theo Johnson, 9.99, I believe, RAS score.
Wow.
At 6'6", 249.
9.99?
Yep. And he's a Penn State tight end. They've been pumping guys out.
Let's get him. Fuck it.
I think I've got him as a third round guy. He doesn't have a ton of production, and they don't always have a ton of production coming out of Penn State. But there's a lot to like with him. Stover, I didn't know how he'd test. That was a concern, just his game tape and everything. And his RAS score was in the 8s. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know it was in the 8s, which is you want to be 8 or higher, So,
oh yeah,
I thought he tested well. I mean, Jaheim Bell looked good. Jared Wiley, guy that me and Derek talked about quite a few times. I mean, I honestly think that you could get one of these tight ends in the 3rd or 4th round, and you're going to be very happy with that group that I mentioned there.
Yeah,
any of them. Greg,
which is probably.
Like I say, I didn't really look into the tight ends too much. I did hear Kelsey Conway. The vibe she got was the Bengals are tired off of these 1-year deals off these tight ends. They want to fix that. They want to get a permanent tight end at least more than 1 year. In this draft, Bowers. I mean, if he was on my list right now, he's not really at the top of my list. I personally hope he's gone by the time we pick.
Yep.
Am I going to get mad if we take him? No, absolutely not. He'd be a good playmaker for us. But we just got way too many other needs. Pork Chop and I were talking Sanders. Wouldn't complain about him. Ohio State guy, wouldn't complain about him either. But, my philosophy was last year we had no interest taking a tight end. So I don't know about this.
You're over it now. They broke your heart last year. You're not going to get excited for it this year.
No.
I'm trying not to.
Although
I was just going to mention this real quick.
Go ahead.
And I'll let go. So he's just saying Goodberry really likes the tight end from Florida State, even though he calls him an H-back. So that's Jaheim Bell. He was 6'2" instead of 6'1", which is what I think the measurement was at the Senior Bowl. And 6'2", I mean, that helps a little bit. So, but I mean, he's rocked up. But yeah, he even got carries when he's at South Carolina. He got carries at Florida State after he transferred there this year. But he is probably more of an age. But you can utilize those guys, and I think Goodberry would agree with that. Ben Sinat's kind of similar, but I think he's got a little more size to where you feel more comfortable playing him at tight end. And Sinat is a really good blocker, I think, still as well.
And how's he doing the passing game?
I mean, he's got reliable hands. He didn't have a ton of production prior to this year, but this year he kind of broke out. So for Kansas State. So Sinat, I really like. Bell's explosive. I mean, and like I said, they would give him carries. At South Carolina, 1 year is their leading rusher. And this is a guy you're talking to playing tight end / H-back. So
I mean, I'm not going to be
I definitely think there's options.
Yeah, I'm not going to be upset if they get like Sinat or Cade or someone like that. But, man, I would really just love Jatavion Sanders in the second round. I want Johnny Newton in the first and Jatavion Sanders in the second.
Yeah, and Will, I did mention his RAS score was still good, so it was in the 8s. But even though he ran that, I think it was 4.71 or 4.72, either way, in the 4.7s.
Oh, Hunter says yeah. Sinat can block. I don't know where Greg went. He's probably getting a piece of ass.
Can he even do that after his dentist appointment?
If he chews it on the one side, maybe.
That's fair.
I wonder how long, if the dentist told him, like, Greg, no ass eating for this amount of time.
You can't eat ass for 2 days. Greg's
right.
like, no. Greg just starts crying.
Right.
Like, what's wrong? He's like,
we need you to take a 2-day hiatus on eating ass. No ass eating for 2 days. Want to make sure
we're to the offensive line, guys, and Greg said that he was all in on this one. So I'll ask you first, and then I assume Greg will show back up. We'll see. He might be crying again if he can't have ass. So.
Yeah, as far as the offensive line goes, I think that's actually what we're going to pick in 18, despite what I want and what everybody else wants. And I'm not against it because protect the asset, right? So I don't even care what they do in free agency. I still think that the first pick is going to be a right tackle if there's a decent one there. So I think that's probably going to be it. But as far as like the interior line, I know a lot of people talk about Jackson Powers Johnson. Is that right?
Yep.
JPJ. All right. Which is a badass. This dude is a badass. Then I saw that thing where he's also represented by David Malagueta.
Yeah, we can't worry about that. A ton of guys are.
I know, but I'm like, son of a bitch, because you got that contract coming up, and that guy doesn't work out contracts with us too well. I mean, maybe it's because of that old Bengals mindset. Now that we're doing good and we're championship caliber team or something, maybe things will change, but we'll see. I mean, you could always prove us wrong by signing T for the right amount of money.
Yeah. I'll just start off the top with Joe Alt. He's been tackle 1. I love everything about Joe Alt. I think he's going to be a centerpiece left tackle. Potential to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's that good, in my opinion. The kid's 6'8", weighed in the 320s. He was listed a little lower, so even better. And then his RAS was like 9.91, I think. So he tested like a freak on top of all that size. And you see the athleticism, the bend, everything he can do at tackle. He's not going to get anywhere close to pick 18. So don't want to spend too much time. Like I said, Fashanu had the small hands, didn't really test. He said he tweaked something. He probably tested at his pro day. Fuaga looked great.
Fashanu
is actually a different guy. Fashanu and Futanu are different guys, and I'm probably mispronouncing their names, so I apologize. But
you might just have them backwards.
No, Fashanu is the Penn State guy. Futanu is the Washington kid, and he tested really well. He did test. He played left tackle for them. He was projected to go in at guard, but his arm length was fine. The athleticism was fantastic. a team's going to give him a shot to probably play tackle, but I still think maybe his future is all pro if he wants to be a guard. But you give him a shot to play tackle. Fuaga is the kid from Oregon State that we've loved for a long time. That would be still up there for one of my dream picks at 18. I just don't think he's going to get past the Jets. And then Latham came in, was listed in the 360s, came in, I think at 340 something. So it was like, okay, he's been putting in work now. He didn't run, but he went out and did the drills, looked good. I mean, I know Latham's from Bama, and they haven't always panned out at tackle, but he looked really good. Mims is the one that you get fascinated with the talent, but 800 snaps. We've talked about it. 8 games started. He hasn't finished or played tons of games in his career. And then he tweaked a hamstring while he was running. So there's a lot of questions. That Guyton tested really well. Kingsley Samuatoa, Patrick Paul, Jordan Morgan, Roger Rosengarten. All those guys tested really well. So it's a deep tackle class, but deep as in you probably want to take one in the first, and then maybe you're hoping you get one in the second if you don't get one in the first. So who do you guys like? Who impressed you? Greg, where did you disappear to again?
He must have disappeared like in the front yard or something. He's getting set up for a dance on Monday.
Yeah, I doubt it.
I don't know.
That dentist visit got him all messed up.
I know. It's that laughing gas, man. Greg has no idea what he's doing right now.
I was waiting on him to come back and talk about these tackles.
That's what he wanted to talk about. Then he left.
And then he left again.
Man, I see a lot of people. I know it's not offensive line, but a lot of people in chat are talking about Sweat, and I know that you're not real high on him. Oh, now Greg's back. I start talking D-line. We went to offensive line, and you left.
Yeah, and then we were trying to fill the time for you to come back, and then you left.
No, it's okay, guys. It's okay. You guys go ahead.
No. All offensive tackles. Who impressed you? We ran down
Mims. How could you not be impressed by Mims? Mims was awesome. Offensive tackles did so well over the weekend. Yeah, Mims. Bunch of long arm offensive tackles is exactly what you needed with Mims. Who was the other one? Latham. But my fear is
Latham, Fatano.
Yeah, but my fear is though, I just hope all these guys are not gone by the time we pick at 18, though.
What about Mims? His hamstring pull going into the season, is that a concern?
Yeah, that scares me a little bit.
I think the hamstring will be fine, but it's just the thing. Like he had the ankle, then he came back for 2 games in the SEC championship. He goes out after the first quarter with another ankle injury after he had surgery on it after week 3. Now he pulls a hamstring. It just worries you because you look at him and you go, man, that's a freak. 6'7", 340, long as can be. His tape looks very solid when he plays, but he hardly has played. And they say the best ability is availability, and he hasn't had a ton of it. And that's scary. That's a concern. It's a risk. Boom or bust.
No, he's a big boom or bust project. That's flat out simple with Mims. Big boom or bust. I think Latham would be the more safer pick if it came down to those two. But, with Alabama players sometimes, man, linemen, they don't really have that great of a history, do they?
I don't want to go boom or bust. I just want boom in the first round.
Exactly.
I want what
boom.
Position it is. I want that player on the field game 1.
That's what I want.
Someone who can help the team right away.
I think Fuaga would be that guy. I still have concerns he would get there, and he tested incredible. He's just a good, clean, safe pick. If he would be at 18, I would love that. Latham would probably be my backup choice, and this is how I have those guys ranked. And then Mims or Guyton. I still lean Mims just because I think his potential is higher than Guyton, but Guyton tested really well, and Guyton's a 1-year starter. He did play every game this year, though. So, I don't know. There's a lot of good options there. And I'm not ruling out Troy Fatanu from Washington, even though he played left tackle. Russell Wilson being released. Not too shocking. They did not seem to be getting along well.
Yep.
So there comes JJ McCarthy's not probably getting past pick 12. Just not.
To go to Denver?
Yeah. Denver has pick 12, I'm pretty sure. But
Well,
yeah,
somebody was talking about J.J. McCarthy possibly going to maybe he was talking about the Raiders, I was thinking, and so he'd have to face Jim Harbaugh twice a year.
hey,
But I think the Raiders
well,
are going to try to make a move and get Jaden
Yeah.
Daniels.
No. Raiders.
yeah. If the Patriots are willing to trade out a pick 3 and he's the quarterback that's left of that top 3, I definitely think the Raiders are going to try to get him because their coach is the guy who helped recruit him to Arizona State originally too.
Yep.
So it makes a ton of sense. We'll move on to the defense, but we always talk about we don't have athletic offensive linemen. It'd be hard not to take one this year. Like if you're drafting one at pick 18, all these guys tested like freaks.
Who's
Unless
the best
they go
one?
completely off the board.
Who's
Yeah,
in the best
exactly.
one in the third round?
See, for me, it was Roger Rosengarten, but he tested so well. And I mean, his tape is good. Like, even that Michigan game, I went back and watched it and I put out a little clip from it. And I was like, this tape wasn't bad. Everybody was knocking him for that national championship game. And it wasn't bad. Like, his tape's good. He's a younger guy. I think he was a redshirt sophomore. I think he maybe 22, turning 22. So he's not, 24 years old or whatever. But I think you probably have to take him in the second, potentially. Blake Fisher from Notre Dame maybe is another. He didn't test like a complete freak, but it was still in the 7s. So it wasn't like awful. So he might be the guy in the 3rd, and he's played right tackle at Notre Dame. He's only 20 years old. So
I'm just wondering, do you think that these guys, if we needed them, could be starters this year, like when the season opens?
I would hate to depend on a Rosengarten or a Fisher if we're talking past the first round guys. The first round guys, I would hope. Guyton would be the one that would – I don't know. I don't know if Guyton should start this year because I think he's more raw as a one-year starter. Mims would scare me a little bit just because he hasn't played a ton. But the talent-wise, if he's healthy, I think Mims could hold it down talent-wise. And I think Latham, Fuaga, those guys, Futana, they've played a ton of ball in college already. I wouldn't have concerns if they were day one starters.
Okay. Good to know.
Defense, we won't hit, I guess, too much. But the top guys tested like top guys. Turner versus Latu, Chop Robinson. That's Darius Robinson, the 5th one, but he's a lot bigger. He still tested pretty well for a guy that's 6'5", 285. He's so much bigger than the rest of that group. So he'd give you a little flexibility inside, outside. They said he grew up a Lions fan. So I think, he's kind of hoping he falls to Detroit's pick there in the first round. Be a good fit, good story. But there was a lot of good guys. Austin Booker, I'd say if I had to pick a loser coming out of Kansas because he had a good Senior Bowl week, but came in at he's 6'4", 240, and he looks thin on tape. But he's got super long arms, and he uses it well. But a one-year start, a guy that should have went back to Kansas, honestly. Should have went back for another year, and I think that would have helped the stock. But he didn't test well. He didn't test like a freak. When you're at 240 and you're going against guys that are 250, 260, in Robinson's case, 285, compared to, your size, I would expect you to run well and test well compared to that. And he really didn't.
No.
So he's probably one of my bigger losers. And then D-tackle, you already mentioned Byron Murphy. We already talked about Braden Fiskey. Fiskey's already 24, but there's a lot to like there. Chris Jenkins was solid. Rook, our guy Rook from Clemson.
Horo.
Hey, we'll ask what a Chop Robinson, man. Chop, man, you be all over that, buddy.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Not only would I be over it because of the name, but that dude can fucking play.
He's a freak athlete, but he's never had more than 4.5, 5.5 sacks in a season. So the production hasn't quite matched what you expect, but you can see the explosiveness. And he was expected to test well because he needed to stay in the first round. If he would have tested poor, he would have been out of the first round. He would have been a loser for sure. But I don't like him at pick 18. If we were picking where we picked last year and where we took Murphy, that's about where I like to take a guy like Chop Robinson or Darius Robinson, one of those guys. I'd feel better about him than pick 18 is semi-premium. I mean, it means you didn't make the playoffs.
Yes.
So those guys at least, they may need a year where there's some questions with overall talent. But yeah, D tackles, there's a lot of guys. Brandon Dorless is interesting because he did finally measure in. He played more edge at Oregon, and at the Senior Bowl, he's like in the 270s. So he came in, I think, closer to 285 in the 280s. I know that. So I think that helped his stock, and he played good at D tackle when he was there before. So it looks like he's trying to make that move to D tackle, and I think he'd be an interesting guy if he's there in like the third round. I don't know if he gets to the third, but if he was there. And no, Jonah Ellis didn't test. He's coming off a shoulder injury toward late in the season, so the defensive end we like quite a bit. Linebackers, Edgerrin Cooper. I mean, I think he tops the board, tested great. Still don't think I'd take any linebackers I don't see any linebackers going until the second round. Maybe Cooper slides the end of the first, but I think this draft is better if you hit that position, second, third, fourth. And that's not even for the Bengals, right? We got our top two, but we are going to need depth there. How about corners, Greg? I know you always kind of stay up with the corners. You're a big corner guy. Anybody at the corner that intrigues you?
That kid from Toledo, man. I mean, obviously the only knock on him is a small school. I mean, he tested great. I mean, I know I'm all over Kool-Aid, but I remember we're reading a little thing about Kool-Aid is he does not turn his head around when the ball gets turned. And I'm sorry, Chop, not to bring up DJ Turner, but that's one thing that hurt DJ Turner a lot. So Kool-Aid, I mean, Kool-Aid, I'm sorry, buddy. It's really falling down on me right now. Arnold, I think it's going to be gone. But I tell you what, that dude from Toledo, I think he's a realistic option at 18.
Yeah, and he's aced this entire process.
Yes.
He tested, his RAS was over 9. I mean, he tested well. He had a great Senior Bowl week. I know one of the concerns was, he hasn't played a lot of press man coverage. He did that at the Senior Bowl, and it was like, damn, this dude is a dog at doing it. So, I mean, he has just aced the entire process. I think he's corner too. I love Terry and Arnold. Arnold doesn't have the same speed as him, but Arnold's just one of those guys that gets it, and he's a converted safety. He's only going to get better. Like, he converted from safety. I think this was his first year actually just being a true corner for Arnold. But, I mean, you couldn't go wrong with either of those guys. Enos Rakestraw, I got him at the bottom of the first. He's been there. He didn't test well. His RAS wasn't good. And, he already didn't have the great size compared to some of these other guys, so that hurts a little. Tyree Jackson, I've talked about him quite a bit. I like him from Oregon. Kid's basically 6'4" at corner. So, big fan of his. Cam Hart from Notre Dame tested well. He's 6'3", 202, I think, somewhere around in that range. His RAS was in the 9s. I think he might have played himself into the second round. I got him as a third-round guy, but corners are always going to be valuable. We've seen a ton of corners come off the board last year. It happens every year, and it's another pretty good class, especially early at the top.
Yeah, there's not really a Jalen Ramsey type of corner this year. There's not that guy that's going to be a top 5. Still a good corner class, but not really like Arnold. You have his number 1. Do you see him going in the top 10?
I could see him going in the top 10, but definitely not top 5 for me. Top 10 would be late. Yeah. Like maybe 9 or 10, but yeah, if you got him 10 to 15, it seems more likely.
So, Dale, when I was at work in the bathroom today, I was doing my own list and all that. And yeah,
I bet you were.
I was doing my own. I got curious. I was like writing up my own list of realistic options that could be there at 18 for the Bengals. And Arnold didn't make my list because I think he's just long gone.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, there's always a chance he's there.
No, there's always a chance. I mean, like, I'll never forget the year Darqueze Dennard. I didn't even read into him or anything. I'm like, dude, Dennard's going to be like a top 10 pick. He's long gone. We're not getting him. I mean, Dale, I think we can all agree. We were all shocked that he was there. I know Paul Gunther even stated that.
I think we had pick 24 that year, too.
Right,
so
pick 24.
Further down, we thought top 15 on him.
Right, we traded back. No. Paul Gunther stated he was like the 9th best player on the board. They're like, well, this is a piece of cake right here, easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Dennard, now Dennard wasn't a bust. He still did well for us, but. Yeah.
The bathroom is the wrong place to get curious.
Yeah, I know, right?
You're right.
But safety, I don't have too much. Cameron Kent has tested really bad from Miami.
Did he?
Some people had him as a top safety, and I always had Newbin there, Tyler Newbin from Minnesota. But Kitchens, man, I think he's gone from potentially a second-round guy to now I think I wouldn't touch him till the 3rd at the earliest. So.
Huh.
Cole Bishop on the flip side of somebody who tested really well, kid out of Utah. Everybody talks about Vaki. Cole Bishop's the way better safety prospect. The thing with Vaki is he played running back for like 3 games because they needed him to, and he was a beast at running back. So it's nice and fun and, a cool story. But Cole Bishop's a much better prospect. I still think like 3rd round for that guy for a safety, but he has aced the process as well. So just at least wanted to mention some guys that have done that. I think we're going to try to wrap this one up because we have a pretty crazy week coming up.
Yeah,
that I probably need to fill Pork Chop in about.
I don't know all of it, do I?
So
you miss a lot what's going on during the day. Like if the world's coming to an end, you're waking up like, well, I
might not wake up if the world comes to an end while I'm sleeping, Greg.
Yeah.
I won't even know.
So we've got at least 4 shows this week that we know about.
Yeah.
Next week we may have to push our Monday show back, which starts the tampering period. We're going to discuss that off air, see about that. But let's just talk about this week. So we had the show today. Shout out Cincy Hat Matt, the St. Taddy's Day event. There's going to be more tickets coming out, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. Follow their Twitter. Showed us all kinds of fun hats. If you missed the beginning of the episode, go and check that back out on youtube.com at Bengals Brews. But tomorrow, we will have Jake Lisco from Locked On Bengals. That will be at 3:30. So we normally don't do Tuesday shows. We are doing one tomorrow.
That's right.
We had not been doing Wednesday shows, but we were probably going to get back to it. It's just going to be a little week earlier than we planned on. We planned on probably doing a Wednesday show next week. Guess what? We're doing one this week too. So we have Jeff Hobson, beat writer for Bengals.com. So Jeff Hobson will be on Wednesday.
I'll be damned.
Nothing on Thursday. So you guys get a break from us.
Hey.
Well-deserved break after 3 straight days of dealing with me rambling and Greg eating ass and Pork Chop dropping wisdom on exercising.
That's right. That's what
my mouth will be a lot easier to move around come tomorrow, I promise.
And then Friday we'll just recap the week, and who knows what'll happen between now and Friday. So
no, I may just take off all next week for tampering period. I like
also Fridays stand for dancing.
Well, see, so I'll tell you all funny
story. Dancing Friday, right. Yeah. That's
the reason I went to the dentist immediately. Last thing I want to hear is I get off the dentist and there's a big news. Like, say if the Bengals signed Christian Wilkins.
You couldn't wait till next week. You were like, nah, it has to be this week.
It has to be this week. There's no way I'm waiting for the dentist and all that and stuff. Like, I'll like already have like 50 million people talking like, man, Greg, you're way behind the times. So that would just drive me insane.
So yeah, and then we'll talk about Monday. It might be pushed back a little bit, just because there's something that I may have to do prior to coming on. But we'll see. Maybe these guys will hold it down, and I'll hop on. We'll just talk about it. It might be half an hour to an hour later start time, but we'll discuss it. But yeah, back tomorrow. Jake, let's go. So make sure you got your questions ready. We'll try to fire those up for him. Plan on talking similar stuff: draft, free agency, who he thinks, what he thinks will happen. T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, all the topics, that we see. We'll try to hit them all with Jake, and then we'll try to do the same again on Wednesday with Jeff Hobson. So it should be a fun week. And then on Friday, we get to see Greg shake his moneymaker.
Shake that moneymaker.
Shake your moneymaker.
Shake
it. I think Chris said he wanted to pick the song earlier. I think I said
No, we didn't agree to that. No.
Okay, he's not agreeing to that, Chris. But let me know, and I'll see if I can persuade him.
Right. We'll see what we can do. I mean, he's done Spice Girls.
From Spice Girls to Kiss to
what was
Chumbawamba,
the hamster.
The hamster
it's been quite
dance.
The variety.
Yes.
It's been quite a randomized order.
Thank you, Matt.
Appreciate it, Matt. Hey, Matt, by the way, I went to the post office. Here's the whole problem. When you put something in a yellow package, it can't be made. Even though it fits in the freaking mail slot, it doesn't count. So I had to pay like $1 or $2 to get shipped. But Matt, it'll be shipped to you within 2 days, bro.
Yeah,
I didn't do the 1 day shipping for $30. I'm sorry.
You shipped it out though. It's on the way.
It's
officially on the way.
I have a witness.
Get it.
We have witnesses at the post office.
He used the U.S. Postal Service.
Yes, I went inside the Postal Service.
And he didn't go postal.
I didn't go postal, no.
He's
Awesome.
like, it's all good, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, appreciate you all for tuning in. Once again, we'll be back 3:30 tomorrow. Jake, let's go. Wednesday, 3:30. Jeff Hobson. Should be a fun few days here in a row. So appreciate y'all. Hoo day. Love you.